my last video, I was showing you how to bind materials to geometry with BowerBot. By binding material means that, for example, here in my local assets, I have loose materials. These are materials that I created in Maya. Those are MaterialX, and they are procedural materials, which means they don't have any kind of textures. These are basically just colors where you can, customize the how metallic it looks. Basically, you create a material, save it in a file, and mostly when you create materials, you have to create a script to separate them. But at the end, this is how they look. These are the main parameters. So binding a material that already exists in your assets means that you have to, BowerBot is going to create that bind between the asset and the material. In this case, well, we have this metal dark steel, the matte black, and the wood, right? So this has already like the values already set in place. So these are materials that already exist. But what happens when you don't have this type of materials and then you want to create some materials? So BowerBot will allow you to do that. We can create an example of how to do this by, I'm gonna create just a new project. I'm just gonna follow the steps that it's in our discussions, so you can take a look. So I'm gonna create a new project, which I'm gonna call, I have a ceiling lamp. I'm gonna call it ceiling lamp, and I'm gonna open this one. And I'm gonna show you the steps. So we have to open By the way, I'm using NVIDIA Omniverse to render all the project, the USD files, etc. So you can use NVIDIA Omniverse, or you can use Maya, or you can use Blender. I will suggest NVIDIA Omniverse because it's more capable of more things compared to Blender. Blender is good to, visualize your USDs, but later on, once we implement variant sets, Blender might not be able to do that. So I highly recommend to use Omniverse. So what's happening here is that we already have the project ceiling lamp. So we go to the scene, we open the scene, we don't have anything. If I take a look at my assets, we'll see my local assets. These are my local assets. You can see that I have a ceiling large lamp. So I would just ask BowerBot to look for that specific asset. So it found the lamp. Fetch. You can see that we have the lamp in here. So we have the scene file, and then we have the assets of that project, which is called ceiling lamp. And then we'll see that the ceiling lamp package or folder structure is already here, right? So this is the main file, and this is all the geometry. This root file is referencing the geometry, as I explained in the other videos. So yeah, that means that when we want to use this specific asset, we don't need to use the scene. We just we will be just using this folder, because here is where it contains all the geometry, materials, and so on. You will see. So far, you can see that it has the root and the geometry. So this lamp doesn't have any kind of material, so that's when we're gonna start to create some. I feel like this lamp should be more like vintage colors, right? So let's see how this asset is being distributed. So it has some metal parts in here. Metal part, metal part. Probably these metal parts can be like, I feel like some dark color. Metal parts. I'm just gonna copy this name and I'm gonna tell BowerBot to play some, create those materials. The materials that I'm gonna start doing here does not exist. So BowerBot is going to create those, right? It's gonna write the file for me and is going to reference that file into this specific asset. This is a procedural black steel material has been created and applied to all metal parts, right? Fetch. So yeah, we have this kind of like dark, yeah, it's good. Now we probably need the bulb to be transparent. So we have been creating the bulb. Fetch, see that it's transparent over there, right? Now if we take a look at the, the ceiling asset that we are affecting in this scene, we'll see that we already have the material, and here the materials here are, basically the file that BowerBot was creating. For instance, let me show you here, ceiling lamp project, and then the assets, and then we have the references, and then the materials, and here all the materials and bindings in here for the metal parts and for the glass. So I'm just gonna try to finish this asset a little bit faster. So in the next video, we're gonna see how to create lights. We're gonna add some lights to this asset.